Hey everybody, David here, and today I am going to be talking about Marvel's What If series, which debuted on Disney Plus today, starting with episode 1, What If Captain Carter Were the First Avenger. And I gotta say right from the top, yes, of course, I was really looking forward to this. It's a Marvel property, and I love everything about the MCU. There hasn't been one movie where I was really let down. My least favorite movie is probably Ant-Man and the Wasp, but even that movie, I can probably find a lot of things to enjoy about it. So, for the most part, my like all the Marvel movies to me, maybe the lowest is a 7 and mostly 8s out of 10s. There's a couple of 9s and maybe 2 10s in there out of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe of what I've rated in the past, including some of the TV shows. So that we've had so far, not counting like Agents of Shield, not counting Daredevil, not counting Luke Cage, etc., etc. These are the stuff. The MCU proper is the stuff that I love. So let's get right into it. So we got Jeffrey Wright doing the voice of the Watcher, who will be appearing in every episode, narrating the events that are going on. As he says in the episode, he is only watching, he is not interfering with what's going on, because this is the multiverse and we're seeing different scenarios playing out. And this episode gives us the scenario of, as the title suggests, Agent Carter becoming the first Avenger, if you will, where she gets the serum instead of Steve Rogers. And we see the moment, he even narrates it. As he narrates it, he says, this is the moment where it happens. And we see Peggy Carter, we see skinny Steve Rogers getting ready to get the serum. Howard Stark is there. We get Colonel... What's his name here? Hold on. Colonel John Flynn, who was actually part of the short film, the Marvel one-shot short film titled Agent Carter, which some people predicted was probably a test run to see if they could do an Agent Carter series, which they eventually did. But he was in that Agent Carter short as that asshole agent, if you will, that told Peggy Carter not to go on missions, that she has to stay in the office because that's what she's supposed to do because she's a woman. And he was kind of an asshole in this episode too, man, telling her, you can't have that serum inside of you. What's the matter? We can't have this happening. So it looks like he's an asshole no matter what multiverse you're in or whatever Earth you're on. Which made me a little confused because I was thinking to myself, what happened to General Chester Phillips, who Tommy Lee Jones played in the first Captain America movie? He was the general that was always there in that film, not this Colonel John, what's his name again? John Flynn character. Like, this character, he only appeared in one short film. Tommy Lee Jones was a very memorable character, and they kind of brushed that character to the side because he was at that place too when that whole stuff was happening with Steve Rogers turning into Captain America. But they didn't even show a brief clip of him, which was shocking because he was in that Agent Carter or that Peggy Carter reel that they released last week, the Marvel Legends thing. He was part in those clips. So to not even show a brief shot at him, I thought was kind of odd. Maybe they, according to the directors, it had nothing to do, they didn't base this show off who they could get. They did whatever stories and whatever characters they wanted and got whoever they could back, which was a lot of people. Still, a lot of people did return for this episode. I'm just wondering why that particular character, the character of Tommy Lee Jones, why didn't he return? That character feature in this episode. So he wasn't that big of a presence if Agent Carter or if Peggy Carter had become the super soldier, the first Avenger, if you will. Okay, I guess he wasn't that important in her life. I guess he was just used to select Steve Rogers to become Captain America. But yeah, the actors that return in this episode, let me tell you now. Haley Atwell, of course, returned to the role of Peggy Carter, aka Captain Carter. We got I'll get to those two a little later. Stanley Tucci returned as Dr. Abraham Erskine. Dominic Cooper returned as Howard Stark. As I mentioned earlier, Bradley Whitford returned as Colonel John Flynn, and Neil McDonough returned as Dum Dum Dugan. Sebastian Stan returned as Bucky Barnes. Toby Jones returned as Arnim Zola. And finally, at the end of the episode, I'm just going to spoil it. Actually, you know what? I'll save that for a little later. So basically, we go through this entire episode of what would it be like if Peggy Carter would be this super soldier, right? And clearly I was thinking to myself, man, she really kicks a lot of ass. I think she's been kicking more ass than Steve did. And she's been more upbeat about it. If you go back and watch that original Captain America movie, Steve, he kind of was like, yeah, it's cool, I got this, but he was still a little nerdy and shy and kind of character, where Peggy was like, yes, I'm a superhero now, and she's like kicking ass and everything. I loved it. I thought it was great. By the way, the animation in this episode was fantastic, just like the trailers had hinted. I love the animation right from the top. I was eating it all up. I'm like, this is the best animated show on a streaming service right now. Like, this is what I want my animated shows to be. So I think Marvel's killing it with this show, and I'm loving it. And I'm hearing that it just gets better with the next 2 episodes. I love seeing a lot of the callbacks to the first Avenger. There were times throughout this episode where I'm thinking to myself, wow, I like seeing the subtle changes, but there was one big change where, if you remember, in Captain America the First Avenger, Bucky dies. And we get to that train scene where that was supposed to happen, but instead they make it seem like Steve was going to die. And I also thought it was interesting that they got the Tesseract back from the Red Skull before the Red Skull, because he uses it till the very end of the first Avenger movie, but here he loses it, but he finds a way to summon a creature from another world. All of that was really interesting to me. When they made it seem like they killed Steve, I was actually surprised. I'm like, oh, so Steve dies in this multiverse. But no, he actually survives, and you find out later, and he comes back and helps out a little bit more. So that was really cool. And the actor who did the voice of Steve, by the way, Josh Keaton, he's done many voiceover performances in the past. I think he also did the voice of Spider-Man at some point. Some animated versions of Spider-Man. He did a really great job impersonating Chris Evans, I thought. Because it almost sounded like Chris Evans a lot of the times. But the interesting twist, I thought, was the very end, when how Peggy sacrifices herself to save the world, right? She pushes the monster into the portal, and we think, oh shit, so that's how she goes out. So are we going to see her in the present day? Well, we get that question answered pretty quickly, because we see her coming out of the other side, where she meets we see that room where Loki enters in the first Avengers movie, where Samuel Jackson, Nick Fury, voiced by Samuel Jackson, and Hawkeye, voiced by Jeremy Renner, are both there to greet her, and she comes out of that portal. And that's where I guess her introduction into the modern day is going to go. And we know there's going to be a couple more episodes with her coming back. So it makes me wonder, are all these episodes going to tie up together somehow? Or are all of these episodes going to be, maybe once in a while we go back to that Earth and see how that Earth is doing? Or maybe they are going to tie together. We're going to have to see. I mean, there's 3 more episodes, and from my understanding, so far they haven't tied together too much. So we're gonna wait and see. But so far, I am absolutely loving this first episode. I thought it was great. I thought, I guess that's about it. I'm just gonna be repeating myself. I love the first episode. I love the callbacks, the references, everything about this episode was great. And like I said, I hear it just gets better. So I can't wait to see the next 3. episodes. So guys, tell me what you thought of this episode. Did you think it was great? What did you think of the animation style? Like I said, I love the animation style so far. Yeah, leave down your thoughts below. Now I want to plug in my Patreon supporters. These are the people that support this channel, and they donate a monthly subscription fee, a $5 tier or $10 tier, where, yeah, I mean, if you are generous enough, $10 would be great, but I get it if you can't, or if you don't want to and you want to do the $5 tier. Both of these tiers right now just get you an end credit and a thank you from me personally, thanking you for supporting the channel and hoping that I can grow and focus more on this channel, which is what my goal is. But I can only do that if I can afford to focus more on this channel, because YouTube takes a percentage of the monetization away from me, so I don't get everything that I should be getting on YouTube. And that's why I created a Patreon page, because Patreon, a lot of people who do YouTube videos do it. It's just to help support the channel. And if people who follow your channel want to support you, this is a better way to support me than just watching the videos on YouTube. But hey, watching the videos on YouTube helps as well, believe me. Liking every video also helps, because it helps with the algorithm. Same thing with watching. And sending a link to people, like letting people know about the channel or the videos that you're watching, also helps. So that would very much appreciated. So thank you for those that are Patreon members. I thank you very much for your help and dedication and support. With that being said, that's all, guys. That's all I gotta say. So I hope you like this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, especially if you're new. Well, if you're old, I guess you're already subscribed, right? Yeah. So with that being said, until next time, everybody, I can't wait for next week's episode. It's going to be awesome. Until next time, take care.